Other than the fact that LeBron took a community college basketball team to the NBA Finals, Michael Jordan facing literal plumbers might not always be true, but let's start with Mike's first ring. The Bulls faced the New York Knicks in the first round, and Kiki Van Wedgie was statistically the best player on the Knicks in that series. We all know that Patrick Ewing completely fell apart in this series, but Kiki shot 60% from 3 on 20 points a game, a guy whose stats aren't even on the ESPN website. This was the best series of his career. Now, I will say that when LeBron got his first ring and also played the Knicks in the first round, we're not going to act like there was any competition. Although Melo is definitely a much better player than Kiki Van Wedgie, we all know that Carmelo Anthony did not and could not win anything with his high volume, low efficiency shooting. And their second rounds were also similar, with Jordan facing Charles Barkley and Hershey Hawkins, who stood no chance even though Chuck played great, and LeBron faced the Pacers, whose only notable name just 12 years later is Paul George, who had the worst playoff series of his career. Yes, much worse than the bubble, but it's the conference finals where we start to really see a difference. Mike faced the, at the time, reigning champion Detroit Pistons, whose best player, Isaiah Thomas, was only actually elite for 2 years. He had a short peak and was always a terrible shooter. He's still an NBA legend, yes, who shot under 35% from 3 in pretty much every playoff series he was ever in. He was always a bad free throw shooter, and his supporting cast was just that, a supporting cast. Put this against the Boston Celtics that LeBron faced, led by Kevin Anything Is Possible Garnett, Hall of Fame streamer Paul Pierce, and playoff Rondo, who was averaging 17, 12, and 6. When people mention the bad boy Pistons, the first thing that comes to their mind is physicality, when the whole other reason that LeBron went to Miami was because the Boston Celtics literally bullied him out of Cleveland. And before we go any further, I'm not blind. When Michael Jordan was on the court, there was no doubt that he was the best basketball player in the league. His dominance all over the court was unmatched. But the fact is, by the time he was 2018 LeBron's age, the GOAT had regressed severely. In his last 2 championship seasons, he had gone from 42% from 3 all the way down to 37% in 97 and 28% from 3 in 1998. He had fallen off in basically every statistical category, but because he's Michael Jordan, he still averaged 28 points a game. And do I really need to go over LeBron at 35? Or even 38? Magic Johnson, James Worthy, and Klay Thompson's dad were certainly not plumbers, but they were definitely not Showtime. Magic was older, and to compare LeBron's competition in the 2012 finals, James Worthy and Vlade Divac against Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Kevin Durant was 50-40-90 coming into the playoffs that year. Moving on, in the 92 finals, look, all but 2 Trailblazers shot under 45% from the field in this series, led by Clyde the Glide and Mark Bryant, a forward who never averaged 10 points a game and statistically had the best run of his career in these 6 games. Now, put this team against the 2013 Spurs, a literal dynasty who had just brought Danny Green back to shoot 55% from 3 in the finals. Kawhi wasn't that good yet, but he would still go on to be a much better player than Clyde, already 3-time finals MVP Tim Duncan, and one of only 2 players to win a EuroLeague title, NBA championship, and a gold medal, the greatest Latin American basketball player of all time. These were not the fucking Trailblazers. And my goodness, Mike's 96 title against the Supersonics versus 2016, the greatest finals comeback in NBA history against the greatest shooting backcourt in NBA history, one of the greatest, if not the greatest defensive play in NBA history. Come on, LeBron beat a 73-win team, the only 73-win team ever. This was the biggest upset arguably in the history of professional sports. And of course, we can go over Mike's 6-0 record in the finals, which is unmatched, just like the Cavaliers' comeback down 3 games in the finals. In the 97 finals, wow, John Stockton is a great passer, almost as good as LeBron. Karl Malone was definitely one of the most durable players in the NBA and was elite at an older age than Michael Jordan, but he can't shoot. Same story in 98. Had Jordan played from 2003 to 2019, he'd have at least 3 championships, but his finals record would definitely not be 6-0. Do you really think the 2016 Warriors were no match for the Bulls at any point? Look, 2020 was a Mickey Mouse ring, but LeBron is still better. I'm done.